Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Grand Theft Auto 5 video, I'm doing another Q&A video where I take your questions from Twitter and I answer them all in this video. So we've got a lot of amazing questions to get to today, so let's not waste any more time and let's get it started. All right, so our first question today comes from Keenan, who says, do you think we will get a car or a vehicle in the Tiny Racers tunable update? And the short answer to that is, unfortunately, no. Rockstar have exhausted all of their vehicles that they plan to add with Cunning Stunt Special Vehicle Circuit, the Progen GP1, Rustin, Turismo, and Furnace, and then the returning player bonus stuff like the Duke of Death and the Stallion. They've exhausted all of their vehicles. So that's the first reason. Also, in the trailer, I didn't see any new cars at all. I saw them using like the Kuruma, the BF Bifta. I think there was another maybe sports car or supercar in there, but no. The only thing that's going to be coming out on Tuesday is going to be the Tiny Racers adversary mode. It's not like a downloadable DLC. There isn't going to be anything you have to install, and there isn't going to be any other content included as well, outside of possibly bonuses, discounts, sales, stuff like that. The focus is going to be the Tiny Racers adversary mode. And another thing to note is that it is an adversary mode. It's not a stunt race or another game mode or anything like that. So it's going to be an adversary mode. Rockstar will probably build about 6 or 7 tracks for it, and I think it'll be pretty interesting. That's a good segue into our next question, which is from the Real SB Music, who says, what do you expect from Tiny Racers? Well, it's an adversary mode, and typically with the adversary modes, they're either really good or they're really bad. Now, the adversary modes that feature the vehicles, in my opinion, are typically the best, like Sumo and Vehicle Vendetta. So I'm really hoping that this one is fun, because it is like a combination of a bunch of other things, like free mode events and other adversary modes, and it does look kind of cool, especially if you do it with friends. The only thing I'm worried about is that there's only 4 players, and I think that might get a little bit boring. Although, as I mentioned in other videos, Sumo is only 4 players, and it's one of the best game modes that I think Rockstar has created. So I'm excited about it. I'm definitely not going to write it off before we even start. I'm definitely going to try it, and if it's fun, I'll probably enjoy it for a couple days. If not, guess what? It's free. It didn't cost me anything, and I guess I'll just have to look forward to whatever is coming next. Now, that's also a great segue into another question from King Almighty, who says, what do you think Rockstar will do after the Tiny Racers? Well, after Tiny Racers, that's the last bit of tunables content that Rockstar has that they could add into the game without adding a new DLC. So after Tiny Racers, that's it. The only thing they can essentially do is do like bonus weeks or event weeks where they do discounts and sales. Now, I'm not sure about like adding t-shirts or smoking jackets into the game, because that was kind of random and Rockstar was able to do that pretty easily. So there is always a chance that they could do that. But as far as like legitimate content goes, like vehicles, weapons, clothing, adversary modes, game modes, no, they are completely out. So it will take a brand new DLC in order to get new content like that into the game. And we're all suspecting that the next update is going to be Gunrunning. So I would imagine that that's Rockstar's next plan. And after Tiny Racers, we're really going to put it into high gear towards Gunrunning mode, which is really exciting. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Up next, we have a question from Charlie, who says, because the Duke of Death coming to Grand Theft Auto Online, does this make an opportunity for other vehicles such as the Space Stalker to come? I think that's a good idea, Charlie. I'd like to see the Space Stalker. I'd like to see the Go-Go Monkey Ballista be added into the game. It would also be cool if Rockstar brought back some other things that, you know, they for whatever reason stopped adding in the game, like the beer hats. I'd love to see the money trucks as well. Maybe some other vehicles and possibly even helicopters that are blacklisted, like the Skylift. Maybe that's something they're saving for Gunrunning. I'm really not too sure. But I think having the Duke of Death added into the game was a great sign, because it kind of breaks that barrier of single player only content. So yeah, I do hope that things like the Space Stalker, the Go-Go Monkey Ballista, etc. are added, and I think they could be nice additions to GT Online. And because they're coming from single player, it's likely that for us returning players, they'd be free too. Our next question is from Albanian Gamer, who says, do you think that Gunrunning DLC will be the best money-making method in GT Online? So I think this is going to be a subjective question, because just like the other money-making methods in the game, it's all about your play style and your personal preference. Some of you guys might really love the grind of collecting crates and hunting for rare special items. Some of you guys might like the more passive style of waiting back and sitting back of bikers. And we don't really know how these Gunrunning missions are going to work. You know, are they going to be more associated with the biker stuff, the CEO stuff, or are they going to be something completely different? It's all going to cater to your play style, but I would imagine regardless of your play style, it will be a really good way to make some money. I just don't know if it'll be the best way to make some money because, like I said, it all really depends on your teammates, your friends that are on at the time, how you enjoy playing the game, grinding versus having fun. But at the end of the day, I still think it's going to be a nice way to make some cash in Grand Theft Auto Online. Moving on, we have a question from Eduardo who says, do you think there will be sports or supercars in the Gunrunning DLC or just military cars? So I don't know that there's going to be super or sports cars in the Gunrunning update. To me, it doesn't really seem like the kind of theme for a super or a sports car. However, that's not to say that Rockstar won't, because those are clearly like the most popular vehicles. But there was just a lot that was added with the last DLC, and especially a ton with import-export. For me, I really want to see a lot of off-road and muscle cars in the Gunrunning DLC, but that's not to say they won't do civilian cars. I don't think that every vehicle added is going to be a military version. I do think there's going to be some civilian vehicles in Gunrunning. I just don't know if they're going to be of like the flashy hypercar or sports car, track car, sort of vehicles that we've been getting recently with the last DLC and import-export as well. But I definitely do believe there will be some civilian-style cars in this update. It's a great segue into another question from Renmi, who says, do you think they will add an armored supercar in Gunrunning? Now, that would be interesting. So the closest thing Rockstar has got to this is the 4-seater armored Kuruma sports car. I don't even know. I think that they want to balance the supercars for what they are and the armored vehicles for what they are too. Although the Duke of Death being added into the game is pretty menacing and can actually compete with a lot of the sports and supercars in terms of its speed and get up. But that would be awesome. I'm trying to think of like an armored Lamborghini right now, or something out of like Fast and Furious. That would actually be really, really cool. Although I don't think that's going to be the case. That would be absolutely incredible. Like an armored T20, armored adder, something like that. Doubtful, but that would be so cool. Up next, we have a question from Brian who says, do you think they will make different variants of military vehicles in the Gunrunning DLC? So I'm assuming Brian's talking about existing vehicles in the game and then making a military version. Sure, I think there's plenty of vehicles that would fit under that category. You could make the Patriot a military version, kind of go back to its Vice City or San Andreas roots. You could also do the Dubsta 6x6, make that a little bit more militarized. That could be pretty cool. You could make a Canis Mesa that has more military style features. There's a lot of cars in the game that would be perfect for military variants, especially if they got their own like body shop where we could customize them and give them military features like camo and I guess crazier off-road tires. So yeah, I think that's awesome, and there's definitely vehicles in the game that would fit that perfectly. Our next question comes from Mohammed, and he says, do you think Rockstar will include the Jetpack in the upcoming Gunrunning DLC? That would be the craziest thing of all time, just given the lore of like the Mount Chiliad Easter egg and the Jetpack itself. What I think Rockstar is going to do is troll everyone, and in one of the Gunrunning missions, they might like mention a jetpack or like a device that's similar to a jetpack. They've done this in the past, like with the Heist update. I think Lester had a line like, you know, you've been waiting a long time or something like that, because all we nagged Rockstar was about for the longest time was Winter Heist going to be added into the game, and they finally did, and they kind of threw a jab at us. So I wonder if they're going to do the same thing here by poking fun at the jetpack. That would be beyond insane if they actually added it into the game. That would be so cool. It would bring me back to my San Andreas days so much, so I think that would actually be awesome. Up next, we have a question from Khaled who says, how many weapons do you think we will get with Gunrunning, and what kinds of weapons? So I actually think we might get more weapons than vehicles in this update. Just kind of given the name of the update itself, Gunrunning, you think there's going to be a focus on guns. And I think there are going to be some pretty crazy weapons like snipers and explosives and assault rifles. And I would love to see like a new sniper rifle, maybe the railgun. The last couple DLCs haven't had like great weapons. All the biker stuff was melee. I think in Lowriders Customs Classics, we got like a little submachine gun. So there hasn't been a whole lot of new like super heavy firepower weapons added. And I think stuff like that would be cool. I think we're going to get a nice handful of weapons. And as I predicted, we might even get more weapons than vehicles added in this update. And that would be pretty crazy. All right, moving on. Our next question is from Dan, who says, would you like to see a new armored car with bulletproof windows in the Gunrunning DLC? So I think Dan's trying to say like 100% bulletproof, like you can't get shot on the inside. And there are some vehicles like that in the game. I think it's some of the police variant or SWAT vans, like you physically can't get shot on the inside. And I don't think Rockstar would do that on a normalized vehicle, or at least one that was fast or could carry a lot of people, because that would be really overpowered. Now, a way to prevent that is to simply just throw a sticky bomb at them or an RPG. But I think if they're going to add any armored vehicles, it's going to be similar to the Duke of Death or the Kuruma, where it does offer a lot of bullet resistance. But if you're shot by someone with real precision, then you can be killed inside of those vehicles. But I think it's definitely going to be deadly against things like NPCs. And I do think that there's going to be more armored vehicles added into the game, especially with the recent arrival of the Duke of Death. All right, moving on. Our next question comes from Ross Duncan, who says, do you think the magnet for the Cargobob will be added with Gunrunning? Now, that's actually kind of cool. I've talked about other features I'd like to see, like the cargo plane being added, the ability to open up the back of the Cargobob and the Titan, but that magnet is awesome. It was used in Heist. It was used in Import-Export. So yeah, I could see that being incredibly cool, being able to pick up armored vehicles, because we can't pick up the Duke of Death or other armored cars, yet for whatever reason we can Cargobob a tank. So maybe there could be like a magnet attachment. I think you'd have to have some Pegasus customization feature going on there as well, but I still could see that being pretty awesome. So really good question there, Ross. And then our final question comes from Oscar, who says, do you think that ghillie suits will be added in Gunrunning? That sounds awesome. I think the ghillie suits are super cool. Now, I'm not sure what like practical use this would be, unless you were just like hiding out in the woods waiting for someone to like pass you by. But I still think the option would at least be cool. You would just see a bunch of bush Wookiees riding and driving around Los Santos. That's what I would imagine would happen. But I still think that would be such a cool look. But we know how Rockstar feels about things like big beards and long hair. So I wonder if ghillie suits kind of freak them out a little bit, and because of that, they might not necessarily add something like that or a feature like that into the game. But anyways, that's all the questions that I'm going to be answering in this week's Q&A video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. As always, if you want to possibly be featured in next week's Q&A video, all you got to do is go down in the description, follow me on Twitter, use the hashtag AskBoss whenever I'm looking for Q&A questions, and you might find yourself featured in the next one. If you guys did go and enjoy this video, though, a like rating would of course be awesome. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.